Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh, yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. There I am. Let me check the audio. All right, I think that's going. All right. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to a late morning grind. Oh, after Saturdays, things taking a while this morning, but glad to have you here. Welcome to my home. Welcome to the office. Welcome, everybody. I was even thinking today I wasn't even going to do video, but I really prefer doing video. I feel so disconnected, and so I had to reset a few things, but I got it happening. So, all right, I got this in this week sometime. This is Draw Steel. But this was the MCDM RPG. I was a bit confused because I have not been following its development. But I did back it, and so I guess this was a name change, which makes sense. I guess the MCDM RPG is how it started off, and then it got a name change. So I guess it's the Draw Steel RPG now, which makes sense. But I was confused when I opened it up. Okay, wait a minute, what is this? Okay, so I think that's what it is. So I have not been following closely, but man, I just barely opened it up to go, oh, whoa. I mean, first of all, this is a thick book here. This is a return to the large format RPG book, which we have not seen in a little while. I mean, it seems like here's the digest size right here from Nimble. I got Shadow Dark and the Fate Horror Toolkit and the Index Card RPG sitting right here, which are all more digest size. So this is a return to the big classic D&D size book with a pretty incredible layout. We'll take a look at it. But I mean, the production of this was clearly no joke. And I'm not even talking about the rules development, but just from the physical product perspective, this is no joke. So here we go. We're going to take a look at it. So let's see. Everybody, we got a good crew here, even though I've been late this morning. So, hey, good morning, Sable. So Sable is also checking this out and has his digital copy up. I know that Better with Bacon has played it. And come to think of it, so once people were talking about, okay, what was in this? I think that I have seen a playthrough of this. It's been a while, though, because this is like a tactical game played on a grid. Everything hits, you just roll for damage. I think I'm remembering some of that. And I actually do think that I watched, was it a recap or was it a playthrough? Because you did that live, right? Better with Bacon. And you were discussing, I actually, at the time, I kind of remember that now because I was thinking this does seem to be a strange kind of game, maybe to do the 4D kind of role playing with, because it's got a lot. It's got a lot. It seems like, okay, knowing your character, you got to know your character, I think. Hey, good morning, Mike. And it seems like there's a lot to know. It seems that way. It could be wrong. But that was what it seemed like anyway. We got Tomocrat here. Good morning, Tomocrat. Good morning. And Mike, good morning. Let's see. Yeah, it has been a while. It's been a while since the OGL debacle, which kind of spawned all this, right? I mean, I don't remember if it spawned this project exactly, but, you know, it also spawned what was the Cool Name RPG, which got its own name, and I forget what the name of that one is now. But I've been following the updates from Mark Tassin. Haven't heard from him in a while. So, but, you know, Mark Tassin, see, it's a while to take everybody's RPG idea to fruition. I'm not sure how long this one has been working on. But, you know, Mark Tassin has been working. The Dungeon Master Coach, the Dungeon Coach, his RPG. Now, that's not out yet either, but I still want to take a look at that when it comes out. But yeah, it has been a while. Oh, well, thank you very much. Sable says it's no exaggeration to say that your work has improved my life, Heath. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, Better with Bacon says, yeah, we recapped and played live, but you were definitely in on the recap. Okay. So thank you. Sable sent in a $2 super chat. Just saying thanks for everything. Well, thank you very much, Sable. Thank you. Yeah, Mark Tassin is the Cool Name RPG, right? And it did get an official name. But I forget what it is because I've been seeing the updates, but it is still coming. As far as our Kickstarter goes, there isn't a whole lot to report on the Kickstarter. I did notice that one of the Cthulhu ABC's books did ship directly from the printer in order to kind of speed things along for those people who only got Cthulhu's ABCs. That's the children's book, and you got that and nothing else. And some people, or maybe everybody, was qualified for the Brand of Cthulhu sticker. So I put all the Brand of Cthulhu stickers in the mail. Those are out. If you just pledged for the Cthulhu ABCs, and then I queued up all of those to the printer to send directly from the printer. And I noticed that one of them had shipped. So maybe if you just got that, they might be shipping on. And I put in my order to get them here if you got more than just the Cthulhu ABCs. So the printer might be working through them now. I sent out the tracking number to that person whose book had already shipped. And then also I did put up Cthulhu's ABCs on ravenkeep.net as a pre-order, since I have some extras coming to me as well. I realized that not everybody might want to pledge to I'll bring that up. Might not want to put a late pledge or even really understand what putting a late pledge on the Kickstarter pledge manager is. So I have been continuing to work a little bit on the store, the Ravenkeep store, and I'll just share the screen. right here. So there we go. Cthulhu's ABCs are up over here. And that's a pre-order just through the website. So if somebody just wanted to do that, probably it might not be in on all the Kickstarter stuff. I put the digital ebook everybody's already received. So that's available for purchase here. And then the Cthulhu's ABCs hardback is right there. So if somebody doesn't have it and they just want to go through the website, what I'll do is just put a quantity of those up that I ordered extra with the Kickstarter rewards. So if you place an order through Ravenkeep, then that will go out after the Kickstarter reward ship, but I mean right after. And then I also put out some puzzles. I took some of these and I put some of the pages on puzzles, kids puzzles, like 30-piece kids puzzles, and then also some toddler shirts. So that's up on ravenkeep.net now. So that's what's been going on over here. I'll put that link in there. Let's see. Cthulhu's ABCs on Ravenkeep. Yeah, well, okay, cool name goes here. Right, yes. I think it's actually changed since then. Here, let me take this down. So that's what's going on over there. We still continue to wait on the RPG books for the proof to arrive. Cool name RPG Kickstarter. Probably in an update. Well, I don't see that right here. A new final logo. So maybe this tells me what it is. The new final logo, Open Adventure. So I love the logo too. It's because the Open Adventure logo needs to cross genres. So I believe it's called Open Adventure now. So cool name RPG. The cool name goes here. That got replaced. Yeah, it looks like it's called Open Adventure now. So there we go. Core rules are done. So now we know. All right. Let's bring up the auxiliary camera. Now that we know what's going on, and then I have to find out what button I need. There we go. Okay, so here we go. We'll just see what it's like, I guess. Draw Steel, Book 1, Heroes. Something is making a weird noise on my computer, and I don't know what it is. Book 1, Heroes. Oh, Mike says the new Ravenkeep website looks great. Thank you. Yeah, I've been working on it slowly but surely. Upgrading its look, trying to get the like navigation bar, fixed and things grouped and categorized through categories and things like that, and working on all of the product images. So yes, I want it to become the major hub, especially once all of the Cultist Kickstarter rewards come in. So that'll be their home, their ultimate home. I'll put, I've got the digital editions on drive-through. All right. Let's see. Table of contents, introduction, the basics. I mean, we definitely need to go through the introduction because I'm not really even sure about the philosophy of this, other than I believe it was like cinematic fantasy. And there's nothing on the back here. So I would read the back but there's nothing there. So MCDM RPG introduction. What is this game? Let's find out. Oh, yep, we need to breathe and sip. Something is making a bizarre noise on my computer, and I have no idea what it is. Is it a weird Discord noise? I'm going to quit Discord for the moment. Oh, well. Yes, let's breathe and sip right here. Yeah, it is an extremely pretty book. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Even from not even considering rules development, this was a major production. Let's breathe and sip. I've got a Witch's Brew coffee mug this morning. Let's take 2 deep breaths, deep inhales, complete exhales, and then take a sip of our favorite beverage this morning. Here we go. Let's breathe. And sip. All right, there we go. Hey, Michael, good morning. Okay, so what is this? What are we doing here? It says, what is this game? This game is about fighting monsters, about larger-than-life, extraordinary heroes plunging into battle against terrifying, monstrous enemies. Well, that does tell you quite a bit right there. This game is about fighting monsters, which I don't have a problem with. That covers a lot, so let's get specific and talk about what this game is and what it is not. This game will absolutely feature dungeons, ancient underground complexes filled with ravenous undead or creeping oozes. But it isn't a dungeon crawler. It's not about clearing rooms. It's not about a survival horror game where you must track light and food and the weight of every object you carry. You can fight monsters in a dungeon, but the game is not about dungeons. Lots of games focus on that gameplay and do it really well, like Shadow Dark. It is not a wilderness exploration game, aka a hex crawl. It is not about surviving in extreme weather, getting lost, or trying to navigate your way back to safety. You can fight monsters in the wilderness, or even run a whole campaign in the wilderness. But the game is not about the wilderness. We love games that focus on that fantasy, like Forbidden Lands. You can run adventures with horror themes, but this is not a horror role-playing game. I took a major risk and moved my microphone. Looks like it's still working. You can run adventures with horror themes, but this is not a horror role-playing game like Call of Cthulhu. Your sessions can and will feature comedy, but it's not a comedy RPG like Paranoia. Draw Steel is definitely a game about creating amazing stories in which the heroes fight monsters and villains using strategy and tactics. Draw Steel has a lot of other tools, but fighting monsters is a sort of non-negotiable. If you're looking for a game featuring extraordinary heroes overcoming dramatic villains without the focus on tactical combat, maybe check out Daggerheart, just right next door alphabet-wise. Oh, Bookcam looks pixelated? Don't know what I can do about that. Other than try to adjust, try to adjust my camera. Then boost the this one. Maybe that'll help. Maybe I look a bit more pixelated now. But let's see here. In the PDF, the games are linked to the website in the game. Yeah, it looks like a link because it's written in purple here against the black. So that does look like it was probably a link right here. Sable says, I love how they name drop other RPGs. You can tell this game was made by lovers of the hobby for others lovers of the hobby. They want people to play the game that's right for them. That might be Draw Steel, or it might not be. I don't think I did. This just showed up. I don't think that I got any type of PDF. Did they send that through drive-through or something like that? I can check my email over here. But I don't think that not drive-through, Draw Steel. No, I don't really think so. Yeah, I don't think I got that. I must have just backed for this. So we genuinely love all these games. But we love them because they focus on specific genres of gameplay and deliver on them really well. Our game is heroic fantasy. That's its genre. Extraordinary people fighting dragons and necromancers. But heroic fantasy is still a little broad for our purposes. So we've added 2 other keywords to explain how our game might be difficult from other games. Different from other games in this genre: tactical and cinematic. These terms are just guidelines, a vibe, but we find them useful when trying to choose between different features. Both of these ideas are cool, but which is the most cinematic, the most heroic? So let's talk about what we mean with both of these. Okay. So they're going to talk about tactical, heroic, cinematic, fantasy in detail. Okay. And then it also says if you're coming from D20. Okay, so let's keep going. Tactical strategy is what are we trying to do? Break the siege, free a prisoner, rescue a captive. Steal a tome of ancient lore. Strategy is about long-term goals. Tactics is about how are we going to do that? Are we going to surround them, sneak around them, pick them off one by one, kill their leader first, kill their priest first, no resurrections? In a tactical game, positioning matters. So our game is played on a grid. Effects and distances are measured in squares. That means all players are focused on the same problem, and there's no ambiguity regarding where the heroes and villains are in relation to each other. The Hobgoblin troopers are setting themselves up in a line to stop our tactician and Fury from getting into melee with the Hobgoblin War Mage. We're all aware of what's happening, and we can talk about what we're going to do to stop it. This means teamwork matters. That's why the order of play works the way that it does, to encourage players to plan. Okay, you use concussive slam on that trooper. It'll push him back. And on my turn, I can use squad forward to get us all into melee with the Death Captain. We think focusing on teamwork makes the game more heroic. Discord has a troublemaker on. Well, maybe that was the weird noises that I was hearing. Well, we'll see. So it says, we do. Okay, I will nuke them later. Let me see if I can delete. Let me see if I can nuke them right now. That may have been the noise I was hearing. All right, banned. We'll see if that works. Oh, maybe it is. Discord's changed its sound effects for Halloween, so I bet it was. I bet that's what it was. So that means teamwork matters. That's why the order of combat works the way that it does. Okay, so in a tactical game, you have many choices each combat round. You never reduce just swinging the sword. You have options. If we do a good job, you don't feel as though you outlasted your opponents because you wore their stamina down before you could reduce yours to zero. Before they could reduce yours to zero. You feel like you beat those hobgoblins through stealth and sorcery, coordination, and ferocity. If you play with the same group of characters, you learn that what they can do. You discover synergies, combos, some of them intended by the designers, some not. You start to learn these unique characters and to rely on them to do cool things. It's a great feeling when another player comes up with a cool plan that relies on your unique abilities. You learn which characters are the squishies and who needs to be protected or healed. You learn which characters can push themselves right to the edge and keep fighting. Don't worry about healing Barkula. She's our Fury. She's happier with 3 stamina. Our game is not about tactics. It's not a war game, but it is tactical. Michael says, tactical on squares. Hexes are far superior for tactical movement and placement. No spaces in measuring with facing is even more no spaces in measuring with facing is even more tactical. I remain a fan of the grid. I mean, I played a lot of games where you're just measuring. I wonder if we've got facing in here because this is a tactical game. I wonder if we have facing because that's kind of gone by the wayside. It seems in a lot of games today. But I do like the ease of, of course, I've been a fan of hexes anyway, but whether it's hexes or whether it's squares, I'm a fan of those because it's just easier to me than trying to measure with a measuring tape or stick or whatever. So what does heroic mean? Our game is definitely about heroism. For us, this means a couple of things. It means we don't assume our character is primarily motivated by greed. They might be, but we don't assume that. Instead, we assume that you're going to do the right thing. It might take some convincing, and there might be some reluctant heroes in your party, but that's part of the fun. You should absolutely be able to run a Chain of Archon-style campaign where the heroes are hard-bitten mercenaries in a morally ambiguous world. But that's not the baseline assumption. The fiction and adventures that inspire us feature epic villains trying to remake the world in their image, and the dashing, unyielding heroes who strive against them, even in the face of impossible odds. So that's one component of the heroic keyword, but another component, equally important, is what kinds of things happen on screen, to speak. I mean, this is also a very dense book. You can tell as far as like the size of the size of the font here. Of course, it's double columned, but you know, this is a very dense book as far as the text goes. I was looking at that because like the Shadow Dark layout is so different. But I was looking at that in comparison to the Fate books. I had the Fate books out the other day, and those are very text dense as well. It seems like after looking at the Index Card RPG and Shadow Dark and stuff like that, we've gotten away from the kind of text dense pages or nimble. But here we are kind of back to that. Like, I guess that fits our whole classic return to the classics here. Tried to send you the PDF. If you search your email for MCDM, you will likely find the link to the PDF. Let me, MCDM. Okay, I searched Draw Seal. MCDM. Hey, Doc Flamingo. Would it be better if I put that up? Is that what you're saying? Better if I put it up on the screen? I think I got it. Would people prefer that? Oh, Doc Flamingo, 20 months. Been here for 20 months. RPG Gen Exile. Why is that? Draw Steel RPG Gen Exile says Draw Steel. Interesting choice, Heath. Okay, it would be easier for everyone to see. Okay, well, let me do that. It's downloaded now. Why do you say that? RPG Gen Exile. Have you played this, or have you been following its development? Okay, let me take this down. There we go. Thank you. RPG Gen Exile says, yep, been following the development. Okay, let me put this aside then. Okay, so we were down here. So, but another component, I'm going to adjust my microphone again. Okay. Another component equally important is what kinds of things happen on screen to speak. That's closely related to the cinematic keyword. For instance, you'll never see Indiana Jones having to find a local sporting goods store because he needs to stock up on ammo. You never see Katniss Everdeen having to stop and take a shower because she stinks. These things do happen. No one watching Raiders of the Lost Ark thinks that Indy's gun is magic and doesn't need bullets. We simply don't need to see Indy doing that kind of stuff. We don't need to waste time on it. Likewise, in our game, we don't worry about stuff that heroes in fiction tend to worry. Likewise, in our game, we don't worry about stuff that heroes in fiction tend not to worry about. We don't worry about how much everything you're carrying weighs. If you try to lift a bear, you're going to have trouble, sure, but nowhere on your character sheet are you tracking the weight of every item. You don't track food such as rations, and you don't worry about how many torches you have. Light might be a factor in a specific environment because that can be a fun tactical challenge, but the game doesn't expect that everyone is always worried about running out of light. Basically, we worry about those things you see those characters doing in a movie or a comic or a novel and their adventures. Assume the tedious stuff happens off screen. Speaking of things happening off screen, we go to cinematic, which I was about to say seems a lot like the heroic in some regards because that's what they're talking about, but it says closely tied to the heroic keyword. The cinematic keyword is about how we like abilities and features to be strongly evocative. You can imagine your character doing or saying these things. In all this confusion is a good name for the Shadow's ability to slip out of melee and retreat to safety. The text of the ability says how it works, but the name creates an awareness that explains how it's working. Oh, Doc. when Sir Vanazor, the Dragon Knight Fury, leaps into a goblin war spider, cleaving through the goblins, riding the creature in a single turn, you experience that action in your mind. It feels like a movie. It doesn't feel simply as if you rolled well, but like an epic scene complete with slow motion and a Carpenter brute soundtrack. You should imagine your tactician character leading the battle, granting your allies free strikes, extra maneuvers, coordinating the battle. That's what the name implies. And you've done a good job. And if you've done a good job, when you read through your character's abilities, you think, yes, that's what I was imagining. I can do this. So fantasy, just, it's got dragons and stuff. That's what the people were saying in the Discord server. Draw Steel has a D&D 4e feel to it, especially in combat. So I've seen people mention this was like a return in a sense to D&D 4e, which I skipped. I've never read, so I don't know anything about that one. I was not gaming at the time, so I don't know anything about 4e. Never even read it, actually. But Sable says, yes, that's by design. So this is more of a branch from D&D 4e. It's worth mentioning, while everyone basically already knows what fantasy means in this context, we do imagine a little more broadly than your average classic medieval fantasy. We like that stuff. Vesloria is our medieval European fantasy analog with knights on horseback and wizards in towers. But we also like high fantasy urban intrigue, and so we're developing Capital, the city of the great game, the great city of this or any age. Vesloria is mostly humans and elves and orcs and dwarves, but Capital has dozens, hundreds of different ancestries in it. So Sable says Matt loves D&D 4e and specifically included inspiration from it in Draw Steel. So no, this is not a fork. Well, yes, not literally, but this is not a fork of D&D except in the broadest conceptual sense, but it's still 4e is still cited as an influence. RPG Gen Exile says, yeah, Matt has always backed 4e. So looking back at movies like Star Wars and works of artists like Chris Foss, that 70s stuff now seems explicitly fantastical. There's nothing scientific or even plausible about a lightsaber or a John Berkeley spaceship, but damn, they look cool. So our setting includes the timescape, our multiverse, of which the world of Orden, containing Capital and Vesloria, is only one part. The timescape is more explicitly space fantasy. The core rules mostly cover the classic fantasy stuff, but we think the Capital and timescape will help us deliver a game where most people see fantasy in our worlds. For us, fantasy includes magic, like wizards casting spells and psionics and natural and focused abilities that some creatures have manipulated and warp reality with their minds. Telekinesis and telepathy, Jean Grey style. I guess John. I don't know some of these names. That's the thing coming from it. So Sable says that 4e isn't a bad RPG, it's just a bad D&D RPG. If it had been published from the start under a different name, like D&D Tactics, then say it probably would have done better. If you're coming from D20 Fantasy, okay, let's see what they have to say about that. We know that many folks are coming to this game having only experienced D20 Fantasy RPGs. This section details a few key distinctions between this game and typical D20 Fantasy that you'll notice right away. These aren't the only distinctions, but they are the most obvious. Character options are difficult. We strongly recommend that you start exploring draws are difficult. They are different. It's the second time I've done that. Character options are different. We strongly recommend you start exploring Draw Steel by looking through the character creation section before you decide what you want to play. You can't just assume the conduit is basically a cleric. In some ways it is, but in others it's quite different. You might have some cool character archetypes you love to play in D20 Fantasy, and you're dying to see how that might work in Draw Steel. But you'll also have a lot more fun if you start by browsing the Ancestries and Classes section and getting inspired. Once you know a bit more about how the game works, you'll have a better handle on how to build your favorite characters the Draw Steel way. Smaller bonuses and penalties. Draw Steel is built around the roll of 2 10-sided dice to produce 3 possible outcomes: Tier 1, Tier 2, or Tier 3. On the surface, this might not seem that different from rolling a 20-sided die and having 2 outcomes, success or failure, but we've run the math a lot. A bonus of +1 or penalty of -2 is significant in Draw Steel, much more so than in a typical D20 fantasy game. That means you should feel pretty good attempting most powerful rolls. The rolls you make determine success both in and out of combat. If you have a decent characteristic bonus to add to those rolls, and if you have a specific skill that applies a power to the roll made as a test outside of combat, you will do even better. Abilities automatically deal damage. People have talked about this one a lot. When you use an ability, one of the unique combat features that define your character, you can still have a bad turn. A tier 1 outcome with minimum damage and effects is the worst outcome you can obtain with any ability. It's not awesome, but you are still making progress. We've talked about that, though, quite a bit when we were looking at AD&D. That are things progressing in combat, or at least changing? It's more about change to me, or is something changing of the game state in every round going around? That's an advantage, or an argument for the getting rid of the hit rolls and just moving to damage, or something like this. The question is, who's making progress faster, you or the monsters? I mean, that seems like a pretty good design philosophy to me. Since there's no I miss, who's next, which I do kind of hate. In this game, fights typically last 3 or fewer rounds. A fight that lasts 5 rounds is a long fight because everyone's always doing damage. So that I do want to know more about. Progress is always being made. It's bad when everybody goes around the table and everybody misses. You don't have to rest all the time. Most D20 fantasy games are games of attrition. Your spell slots and other features dwindle as the adventure day goes on. In Draw Steel, you need to rest to regain your stamina and recoveries, the stats that determine how robust you are in combat. But all characters earn the capability to use their magic and other awesome abilities as they adventure, encouraging you to press on heroically. Our game has a lot of skills. Mike says HP becomes a countdown timer for individual creatures. Right, yeah, you're talking about when you're always dealing some type of damage across every turn. That yeah, you're effectively putting a clock on the fight in a way that you're not if you can miss all the time, or frequently anyway. So we have a lot of skills. Your character can make use of a long list of skills, but we don't expect you to memorize that list. We get into why the test chapter features so many skills, but the short version is that we think having a lot of skills allows you to create more distinct and specialized heroes, which supports the sort of gameplay we want to see in Draw Steel. And skills in the game aren't tied to characteristics. If you're trying to lose someone in the crowd, you can use presence, the characteristic that represents your character's force of personality, to try to hide. Why not? They are not tied to characteristics. So if you're trying to lose someone in a crowd, you can use presence, the characteristic that represents your force of personality, to try to hide. Why not? Well, I guess it's saying that rather than telling you must use presence or you can't, it's possible. I guess that's what they're saying right here. We won't be able to point out every difference. Beyond what's noted here, don't assume these rules work like any D20 fantasy game you played. We don't have the space to point out every exception. So if you're in doubt about how something works, put D20 fantasy out of your mind and read our rules without those assumptions. You'll find that makes things better. If you're still confused, stop by the MCDM Discord and ask. We've got tons of awesome community members to help. And we don't expect you to do everything by the letter. This is actually one thing Draw Steel does in common with D20 fantasy. This is a big book of rules. Don't stress if you need to look something up or make a ruling about an edge case on the fly. If everyone's having fun, you're doing it right. Glossary index. Okay, this is the basics. Okay, so that... Well, this is a very small, looks like a short example. Let's read that. Because yeah, I didn't want to go right into character design. I wanted to know more about how it actually plays. Okay, so that does look like what this is. This is chapter 1. It says the flow of playing Draw Steel is like playing any other tabletop role-playing game with a director, also called a game master or a GM in other games. Play is a conversation between the director and the heroes that describe the story. The director sets the scene, describes the important elements of the environment, and that the heroes would notice. The director, whose name is Willie. You stand in the doorway of the top level of the ruined necromancer's tower. The air is stale and reeks of death. A pale full moon shines through a broken ceiling, illuminating 6 sarcophagi upon a raised dais, each with a lid carved with the likeness of a devil. Broken flasks, beakers, and other laboratory glass covers the floor. After the director sets the scene, each player describes how their character interacts with the scene. The director then describes how the environment and any creatures in it responds to the hero's actions. Alyssa, playing Jorn, a tactician. I'm going to hang out at the back of the group with my warhammer drawn. I want to be ready in case of any of these skeletons we snuck by on the tower level make their way up the stairs. Matt is playing Lynn, a talent. Lynn uses her minor telekinesis ability to sweep up the glass on the floor and form a path free of glass that goes from the door to the dais. James playing Corvo, a shadow. I'll light a torch as I step into the room. Is there anything new that we can see now? Director, with the glass cleared away and a brighter light glowing in the room, you can see the floor is covered in faded sigils. At some point, a player will have their hero attempt a task that has a risk of failing in a way that is narratively interesting. In such cases, the director calls for some dice to be rolled. Don't worry, the rules outline when and where to do this. Grace playing Val, a conduit. Before anyone steps on them, I want to examine the symbols and figure out what they mean. Director, okay, well, for that, I need you to make an easy reason test. Grace got a 12. Not exactly sure how, but okay. You said Grace got a 12. You can tell these old sigils are part of a necromancy spell that's been woven into the stone floor. Also, Jorn can hear something coming up the steps. It's the clicking and clacking of bones on stone. Alyssa says, Ugh, let's make a decision here, folks. We've got boneheads incoming. Matt says, Lynn has enough of this dilly-dallying. She moves to the dais and ushers everyone inside the room so we can shut and barricade the door. Grace, Director, before anyone else can move, Lynn's foot connects with one of the sigils. A burst of red lightning cracks from the place where her foot touched the floor, running to the walls and up to the ceiling. Matt, oh, right, necromancy. Grace, yeah, I should have warned you. Director, the whole tower starts to sway as the sarcophagus lids crash onto the floor and clawed undead hands emerge from within it. 6 decaying devils, each tattooed with glowing green runes, rise. They are eager for violence. James says, I think we found the rotting lords of hell. Director, draw steel. So it says, when combat starts, it's time to use a square grid map with miniatures to represent the positions of the heroes relative to their enemies and the environment. The rules become a little more granular during combat to keep things interesting and fair, but the idea that the game is a conversation between the director and the other players remains the same. So we've got characteristics. 5 characteristics that represent their physical and mental prowess. Might, represented by M in abilities and other features, represents strength and brawn. The creature's capability to break down doors, swing an axe, stand up during an earthquake, or hurl an ally across a chasm is determined by might. Agility represents coordination and nimbleness. A creature's capacity to backflip out of danger, shoot a crossbow, dodge an explosion, or pluck keys from a guard's belt is determined by agility. Reason is logical mind and education. A creature's ability to solve puzzles that unlock a door, recall lore about necromancy, decipher a coded message, etc. Intuition represents instincts and experience. A creature's ability to recognize faint sounds as the approach of a distant rider, quickly read the tell of a bluffing gambler, calm a rearing horse, or track a monster across the tundra is determined by intuition. Presence represents force of personality. We saw that one in the other example. A creature's capacity to lie to a judge, convince a crowd to join a revolution, impress a queen at a royal banquet, or cast magic by singing a song is determined by presence. We used presence when we were designing stuff here. So each characteristic has a score that runs from -5 to +5. The higher the score, the more impact the creature has with that characteristic. A baby bunny rabbit would have a might score of -5, while an ancient dragon would have a might score of 5. The average human has a score of 0 in all characteristics. The characteristic scores are added to power rolls, the dice rolls you make when your character attempts a task with an uncertain outcome. We use 10-sided dice. The game also makes occasional use of D6s. So we also have D3s and then D100s sometimes on the table. So power rolls, how do we do this? When a hero or a creature in the game attempts a task with an uncertain outcome, such as attacking a foe, sneaking by a guard patrol without being seen, or persuading a queen to provide military aid, the creature makes a power roll to determine the outcome of their actions. The types of power rolls. The game uses 2 types of power rolls. An ability roll is used when you use certain abilities to determine their impact. For instance, if a Fury uses their brutal slam ability to strike an enemy, their ability roll determines how much damage the enemy takes and how far back the enemy is pushed. A test is a power roll you make outside of using your abilities to affect or interact with the world around you. A tactician might not have an ability that lets them climb up the face of a cliff, so climbing is an activity they can attempt with a test. An elementalist doesn't have an ability that lets them automatically intimidate a cultist into backing down from a fight, but they can make a test if they want to try. See tests for more information. Okay, how do we make this power roll and figure out whether we've got a tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 result? Okay, so you take 2 10-sided dice, usually noted as 2d10, and add one of your characteristics. The characteristic you add depends on the kind of roll you are making, as outlined in abilities and tests. The total of a power roll determines your outcome tier. 3 tiers that determine how successful your power roll is. So are we just we're adding the 2d10s together? Oh yeah, I guess we are. So actually we talked a lot about that too, because I had long thought that a bell curve, like with 2d10s, was going to help out with what I wanted out of a game rather than the d20 roll. So it looks like they've gone this way. So actually, Sable says, I love that D10s are the main dice in this game. D10s have been my favorite ever since 7th C. So we are getting bell curve results here. Plus, I mean, that's similar to how I started out trying to make something. So let's see what they did with it. The total of a power roll determines your outcome tier. 3 levels that determine how successful your power roll is. Tier 1. If your power roll is 11 or lower, it's a tier 1 outcome. This is the worst outcome a power roll can have. If you're using an ability, a tier 1 outcome means that you still do something, but the impact of what you do is minimal. With this outcome, a strike might deal a little bit of damage, and not do much else. For a test, a tier 1 outcome might mean that you fail at what you set out to do, and you might incur negative consequences. So knowing that an average human is 0 in all of this, that's half, right? When we're talking about our bell curve, approximately, right? 11 or lower, because you're going 2 to 20 then. If your power roll is 12 to 16, it's a tier 2 outcome. This is the average outcome of many power rolls, especially for heroes who are first level. I guess because you are adding some number to it, because you're not expecting, because most heroes will have bonuses, I guess. So 2 to 16, average outcome. When using an ability, a tier 2 outcome means that what you do has moderate impact. With this outcome, a strike deals a decent amount of damage and has an effect that briefly helps allies or hinders enemies. For a test, a tier 2 outcome means you might succeed at what you set out to do, though depending on the difficulty, success might have a cost. Full Metal Dragon, hello, welcome. Oh, Sable was just talking about which edition of 7th C he liked. First edition, second edition sucks. Full Metal Dragon is saying 7th C, 3rd edition has been announced recently, and I don't know anything about 7th C actually. But welcome, Full Metal Dragon. So if your power roll is 17 or higher, it's a tier 3 outcome. This is the best possible outcome that you can have. When using an ability, a tier 3 outcome means you deliver the maximum impact possible. And with this outcome, a strike ability deals a lot of damage, and has a powerful or lasting effect on enemies or allies. For a test, a tier 3 outcome means that you succeed at what you are setting out to do. If the test has an easy difficulty, you get a little something extra in addition to your success. The specific outcome of any power roll is determined by the effect or ability that requires the roll. You can downgrade a power roll. Whenever you make a power roll, you can downgrade it to select the outcome of a lower tier. For instance, if an ability has a tier 3 outcome that lets you impose the restrained condition on a creature, but the tier 2 outcome for that ability lets you impose the slowed condition, you can use the tier 2 outcome if you would rather that the creature have be slowed than restrained. If you downgrade a critical hit, you still get the extra action benefit of the critical hit. See critical hits in classes. Okay, it says rolling a natural 19 or 20 on certain types of power rolls is a critical hit. We have edges and banes. An edge represents a situational advantage a hero has over when making his power roll. For example, a standing hero who makes a melee strike against a prone creature gains an edge on the power roll for the strike. A pair of magic gloves that make your hands sticky might grant you an edge when making a power roll to climb. When making a power roll with an edge, that gets you a +2 bonus to the roll. If you make a power roll with 2 or more edges, you have a double edge. With a double edge, you don't add anything to the power roll, but the outcome of the roll automatically improves 1 tier to a maximum of 3. So 1 edge gets you +2. Double edge automatically gives you the next higher tier outcome. Okay. I think I like that. So that I think I like that because okay, so 1 edge +2. Okay, but you could still get like a tier 1 outcome there. But as soon as you have double edge, then you're guaranteeing at least the tier 2 outcome that you're doing well. So your job is an important part seems to be to stack edges, right? Oh, yes, a double edge, like a double-edged sword, draw steel. Yes, it is. So a bane represents the opposite, situational disadvantage. If you make a strike while prone, the power roll for the strike takes a bane. A rainstorm might give you a bane on a power roll to climb an outdoor wall. When you make a power roll with a bane, you take a -2 penalty to the roll. If you make a power roll with 2 or more banes, you have a double bane, in which case you don't subtract anything from the power roll, but the outcome of the roll automatically decreases by 1 tier. And it looks like they cancel out a lot like advantage and disadvantage. If you have an edge and a bane, or if you have double edged and a double bane, you make it without edges or banes. If you have double bane and just 1 edge, the roll is made with 1 bane, regardless of how many individual banes contributed to the double bane. If you have a double edge and just 1 bane, the roll is made with 1 edge, regardless of how many individual edges contribute to the doubled edge. So you don't have to count. That's also very similar to what we talked about when we were saying, like, how many different things do we need to count that actually contribute toward your success? That there should be a limit there, I thought, because you don't want to just continue trying to count and find, no, what about this for another +1 or this for another +1 or whatever. Eventually, you get to a certain number of things that help or hinder, and then, okay, make the roll and move on. So that looks like what they're doing here. When to use edges and banes. The rules tell you when to modify a roll with an edge or a bane. The director can also modify rolls with edges or banes as a response to a narrative or environmental circumstance. For instance, no rule specifically says that rain imposes a bane on power rolls to make a climb to climb a stone wall, but it makes sense that rainy conditions should make climbing a wall harder, so the director should absolutely do so. Why cap? Okay, we just talked about that. Let's see what they say right here. Why cap? We capped edges and banes at a maximum of 2 each for several reasons, including thinking about the narrative of these penalties. Every little advantage or disadvantage in a heroic story has diminishing returns, acknowledging that a creature can benefit or be hindered by short-term circumstances only so much. For example, a character who is prone and weakened by poison already finds the task difficult to attack. So that becoming restrained by a net can't really make it much harder. We also like capping edges and banes at 2 because it keeps play quick. Yeah, I agree. It's what we were just saying. It's nice not to need to count beyond 2 positive or negative circumstances in a battle with lots of effects flying around. If you can figure out 2 that give you a bonus, then you've got it. I like that too. Bonuses and penalties. While edges and banes cover most circumstantial effects that can have an impact on a power roll, a few rules add numeric bonuses or penalties to power rolls. Bonuses and penalty values are specified in the rules that impose them and are calculated independently of edges and banes before the edges and banes are factored into the power roll. There's no limit to the number of bonuses or penalties that can apply to a power roll, and bonuses and penalties always add together. Though it might sound as if the math with bonuses and penalties can get confusing, fear not. Bonuses and penalties are rare, except in the case of skills which appear on your character sheet. Okay, so there is also straight bonuses or penalties. Effects in the game sometimes allow a creature to obtain an automatic Tier 1, Tier 2, or 3 outcome on a power roll. Such effects supersede any edges, banes, bonuses, or penalties that might affect the roll. If you obtain an automatic tier outcome and the power roll would have an additional effect if you get the specific roll, such as scoring a critical hit in combat, you can still make the roll to determine if you obtain the additional effect in addition to the automatic outcome. We do have hero tokens. So let's see. Sometimes an extra bit of luck or fortune. Hero tokens are a group of resources that are tracked by the players and kept in a pool accessible to all their characters. Hero tokens can be tracked using poker chips, stones, or other markers. It can be tallied numerically on a piece of paper or written off to the side of a virtual tabletop. To start a new game session, the heroes have a number of hero tokens equal to the number of heroes in the party. Heroes can earn more tokens through play by taking big risks to save others. A hero who leaps off a cliff to reach the bottom and aid a friend, who crosses the burning bridge to save the stray cat, or who wagers their most prized treasure as part of a negotiation to get shelter for a group of refugees, might earn a hero token for the group. The director has the final say which heroic acts earn hero tokens. You can also earn them as a test outcome when they succeed on the test with a reward. See tests. So what do you do with hero tokens? Whenever hero tokens are available, you can spend them in the following ways. You can spend a hero token to get +2 surges, allowing you to increase the damage or potency of an ability. See surges in classes. You can spend a hero token when you fail a saving throw, letting you succeed on the save instead. You can spend a hero token to re-roll a test. You must use the new roll. You can spend 2 hero tokens on your turn when you take damage, no action required, to regain stamina equal to your recovery value before taking the damage. So that's preemptive. Okay, so you spend 2 in advance. You can only use only 1 hero token benefit per turn per test. Unless the director decides otherwise, unused hero tokens disappear at the end of a session. So optional rule, hero tokens don't reset. A director can decide that a hero token does not refresh at the start of each session and don't disappear after the last one. This style of play serves many groups who play short sessions consisting of only 2 or 3 hours of play, since it makes hero tokens less abundant and reliable. This is better for short sessions. 2 to 3 hours seems about like all I can play today. Using this option, one of the players must note the number of hero tokens available at the end of each session. Game exceptions. Always round down. When a creature dies, their body becomes an object. Unattended objects, PCs and NPCs. It says bags of rats aren't heroic. Some players might think that quickly starting a fight with some bar patrons or carrying around a bag of rats is a good way to gather up those sweet, sweet victories and heroic resources. These strategies don't work. The rules of the game exist to help you tell a cool heroic fantasy story, not so that you can try to be clever and exploit them by harming innocent rats to win. In order to generate, to kill the rats. In order to generate victories and heroic resources, you must overcome challenges worthy of a hero. Does anybody know, have a recommendation for where we should go to next? Okay, catch you later, Sable. No, thank you, Full Metal Dragon. That's it. Press the like button. Felt the peer pressure. Thank you, Full Metal Dragon. Does anyone have a recommendation about where we go from here? How much time have we left? Oh, we've been going for an hour already. I have a little bit more time. What should we look at? Okay, this is echelons of play. First echelon, first to third level. Second echelon, fourth to sixth level. Third echelon, seventh to ninth level. Fourth echelon, 10th level. This looks like an overview of the land. Yeah, Mike says, I don't know this book well enough to know where to go next. This looks like, let's just see what comes up. So this is definitely setting material right here. Setting design. Making a hero. So chapter 2 is our hero. Do we have, we should look at a character sheet. Do they have pre-made characters here? You can download or print out the character sheets and other free resources for Drawsteel at this link. So we might need to go there. Because I would like to take a look at a character sheet. This is getting into character, quite a bit of character information here. Let's see. Director resources, encounter sheet, negotiation sheet, montage sheet, large encounter essentials. I'm looking at the website now. NPC cards, hero cards, player resources, rules reference, and character sheet. It also has a art description guide, core rules errata, and glyphs font, the Drawsteel glyphs font. I get for like that. All these different glyphs in here kind of reminds me of, was it Cypher? No, Cortex. Cortex kind of reminds me of Cortex. Okay, so let's take a look at a character sheet. Let's see if it's in the back. Otherwise, I'll take it down and go over what I just downloaded. Oh, I do want to see creator license. I want to take a look at the creator's license. I do like that. So this is licensed. Okay, just a few basic rules. If you adhere to these terms, you're allowed to publish works based upon and or on declare compatibility with Drawsteel without express permission from MCDM Productions. You agree not to copy or reproduce any art from our books unless you have explicit permission in writing. You may use our visual designs and inspirations to create your own original illustrations. You can reuse and freely reference the Drawsteel text, mechanics, and game rules, including proper names, locations, and characters. Your product cannot use the MCDM logo or the Drawsteel logo. You are allowed and encouraged, but not required, to use the Drawsteel compatibility logo. The following text must be used by both included both A in the legal text visible outside of your product and B on the website or storefront where you promote the product. That your product name is an independent product published under Drawsteel creator license and is not affiliated with the MCDM Productions. Don't make it seem like it's an official product. Takes no responsibility. Okay, so I mean, pretty basic stuff right there. And some other things. So okay, so their own generous license right here. Let's go over here. I will download the character sheet. Let's take a look at that. And let's see what that looks like before we go. That often gives you a sense of how things play. Why can't I there? I can download now. Blank Drawsteel character sheet. Let me take this down and I'll put that one up. Oh, stop screen sharing. Then restart. Here we go. Drawsteel character sheet. So here's what we're looking at. Character name, ancestry, class, career, and subclass. We've got something about victories here. This is a editable PDF, which is nice. So it looks like we're counting up kind of victories here. Maybe that's like our experience points. I'm not sure, but that lets us go to a level over here. We've got wealth, renown, and then we do have XP over here. XP/epic. So I guess victories is not quite the same thing as XP because we've got XP down here. Over here, we have might, agility, reason, intuition, and presence, which we read were our major characteristics. Size, speed, disengage, and stability. Stamina, current stamina, temporary stamina, I guess max, current, max, temporary, and we have winded. I guess that has a less than or equal to sign there. So maybe that's some kind of condition that occurs at a certain amount of HP, and then dying also. And this is probably clickable right here. You have to decide whether you're dying or winded. Looks like it. Recoveries. We saw something about using the hero points to roll according to your recoveries to get back some stamina points before you take a hit. So recoveries is here. Heroic resource, which was like mana, right? But everybody gets heroic resources for their own stuff and their own abilities and spells. So it's kind of like, I take it that by going like that, this is making even marshals into spellcasters, right? Or it's kind of using that kind of idea, I think. Surges, we read something about surges. We're keeping track of surges. There's a lot on this character sheet. Equipment and modifiers, name, weapon or implement, name. Character name is up here. We have name under equipment and modifiers, weapon or implement, armor or ward, speed, disengage, stamina, stability, melee, distance, and then ranged distance. Melee damage bonus. So now we have our tiers down here, ranged damage bonus. So here we have our tiers, the less than or equal to 11, 12 to 16, or 17 plus. And then effect down here. Maybe this is like the name of that particular loadout. We've got conditions. I like conditions. So conditions: bleeding, dazed, frightened, grabbed, prone, restrained, slowed, taunted, or weakened. And then end of turn, and then also save ends. Bleeding, dazed, frightened, grabbed, prone, restrained, slowed, taunted, weakened. Okay. Potency, weak, average, strong. I'm not sure what that is. Spending hero tokens. Okay, that was like a recap of our rules there. 1 token to gain 2 surges, succeed on a saving throw instead of failing, re-roll a test and use the new result. Class features. Let's just type these in, it looks like. Well, we do have on your turn, each creature can take a move action, a maneuver, and a main action on their turn in any order. So a move action, advance, disengage, or ride. Main actions are charge, defend, free strike, heal, trade for maneuver, or trade for move. I guess that means, okay, if I'm taking a main action, I could use another maneuver or move. Maneuvers are things like aid, attack, catch breath, escape, grab, hide, knockback, make an assist or test, search for hidden characters, search for hidden creatures, stand up, or use consumable. So you get to do 3 things on your turn. So move. And I saw disengage, and we have a disengage number up here. I saw disengage right here. I wonder if that's like Warhammer Quest. The original Warhammer Quest, you had like this number to try to disengage from your enemy, which I kind of like. Yeah, so Mike says, if I recall correctly, each class has their own heroic resource. We'll see how this one handles, or if it does have like attacks of opportunities and such. But this might be like disengaging from a foe. I kind of like the idea of, can you get away? It's not a penalty that you're not going to get hit if you don't, but can you disentangle yourself from this creature that you're fighting? Charge, defend, free strike, heal, trade for maneuver. And then this is all like the maneuvers all seem to be like support kinds of things. Well, although grab a creature is there, like grab, that's there. Environment, second page, back of the page, environment, organization, upbringing, and languages. Career. I saw that career meant something like before, what your character did before they became an adventurer. Benefits and inciting incident. Complication. Ancestry traits and perks. Oh, this is multiple pages. Here are our skills. They said there were a lot of different skills here. So our skills under crafting are alchemy, architecture, blacksmithing, mechanics, forgery, fletching, cooking. Exploration is things like climb, drive, endurance, gymnastics, heal, jump, lift, navigate, ride, swim. Interpersonal is things like brag, empathize, flirt, gamble, handle animals, interrogate, music, read person. Intrigue skills like pick, lock, pickpocket, sabotage, eavesdrop, escape artist. Looks like a lot of thief kind of skills. Although it does have track as well on here. And hide. Well, hide can be thief-like, can also be ranger-like. Lore, religion, rumors, society, strategy, monsters, magic, history, criminal underworld. So here, there is definitely a lot to your character. This is like a character portfolio, right? Which actually I don't have a problem with. Today I've been moving toward the small, like half a page character sheets. But I used to really like the whole idea of a character portfolio. So this is action. I guess these are your specific class, specific actions. Yeah, you can type in here cost, maybe your heroic resources, free strike. I guess which one of this is signature. Yep, these are these radio buttons, the ones that pop back up when you choose one of the others. So like what type of action it is, target, distance, type stuff in here. Keywords down here. And that's okay. So that's a lot of different action things to fill out. Titles, trinkets, leveled treasures, carry 3 safely. Consumables, and projects. Project name, assigned hero, follower, characteristics, goal points. So that's it. So, Mike says, this is a long character sheet. That's all right. Better with Bacon. We were about to, I was just about to wrap this up. We were just taking a look over the character sheet. There's a lot on this character sheet. This is a whole character portfolio we were just looking at. Okay. Well, I guess that we will return to this on another morning grind. I don't have too many more things sitting around here to cover. This one just showed up this week. I guess I still have the Alien starter set that we have not looked at. As far as an unboxing, that's still sitting there in its shrink wrap. And I'm kind of interested in a little bit more about this to find out more about what it does. So we will probably spend another live stream, maybe Wednesday, on this. I've been writing in the evenings, and I'm eager to get back to another project of ours on the morning grind. And maybe in the evening sometimes too. I've been thinking about the live streaming schedule. Because we're still just kind of waiting around for all the stuff to show up for the Cultist Kickstarter, and then it's time to move on to the next thing. So Better with Bacon says, did we get to the part where we realize it's very much a sort of board game and miniature agnostic board game? Not yet. So we hadn't gotten to combat. We were just looking at, we kind of did like how to roll and what our abilities are. Better with Bacon says character sheets are huge, and a lot of the class abilities require discussion above the table. Yeah, it's time to. I've been writing on Rabivania, and I did start also the layout of the Rabivania ICRPG book that we were working on. So, all right, yeah, I guess we will need to come back to this and take a look at combat and see how it does. There's always seems like there's one more thing to cover or something like that, but we might be kind of coming to the end of it. I do want to cover the Cool Name RPG now, the open adventure, when Mark is done with it. But yeah, it's about time to start making things again. Better with Bacon says, all told, I really do like this game. I just don't like it as a role-playing game. It seems to be unable to get out of its own way. Yeah, it seems like a strange one to do the 4D with, which I know is what you were doing. But Like, I don't have it. Like, I like a lot of what it was saying in the beginning about its particular philosophy of stuff. I've been thinking about just the dungeon crawling as well yesterday while I was at the winery. But all right, I'm going to get out of here. I've got things to do. I might end up heading back to the winery this afternoon anyway. So, all right, have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. We will return to this and do more projects later. So I will see you later. Bye.